Hello, everybody, and you're very, very welcome to our webinar on arts. And then we'll be going through the arts degree this morning with you, and thanks very much for coming along. So I'm joined today by a wonderful panel of experts. We have here on the team Fionnuala Finnegan, my colleague in Schools Liaison and part of the Admissions Office team, Programme Advisory Officer Rose Donovan, who works across Programme Advisory and Academic Advisory Office, and she provides ongoing support in many areas to our ongoing students. And Megan, who's joined us, Megan Carson has joined us. She's one of our art students who's studying very hard for her degree and working assiduously online at the moment. And she'll come on towards the end of the presentation and chat about the experience students have in arts and what it's like to be an arts student in Maynooth. So we'll begin. So looking at the arts programme then, in terms of following up after this event, we will encourage you to ask questions to the Q&A facilities while I'm speaking, and my colleagues here, Rose and Fionnuala, will endeavour to answer as many of those as possible. If you don't find that your question is answered or there's something you want to ask and didn't get around to asking, then myself and Rose will be available between 1 and 3 this afternoon on the Arts Q&A Live, and we'll be able to forward any queries you may have towards academics from that facility. So you'll find all of that information on the website. You also can follow up after this event. We have our web chat that goes on every day from 9 to 5. And if you ask a question in the evening, we address it first thing in the morning. And then we have the usual social media platforms, the admissions office and email. You can phone in, of course, or you can directly email me. My name is kmitchell, k.mitchell@mu.ie. You also have the admissions office email at admissions@mu.ie. So looking here at the overview today, what I'll be discussing will be the entry routes and requirements, how the degree is actually structured. Now, I'll be able to give you an overview of the subjects, but in the time frame I'm working on, I won't be able to go into every subject in depth. But again, between 1 and 3, we'll be able to forward any queries you may have to the academic departments. Then we'll be looking at options for study after first year, the practicalities of third level study, and employment after that. Because the old story is, what do you do with a degree? Where do our graduates go? So looking at the entry requirements then, there are many routes of entry into the arts programme. For the Leaving Certificate cohort, if you're sitting a Leaving Cert this year, then you're looking at presenting a minimum of 6 subjects, 2 at higher level, 4 passes, English, Irish and a third language. Those are the academic requirements. If you have an exemption in Irish or an exemption in a third language, or indeed both, those exemptions need to be ratified or approved by a governing body, the NUI, which you will find on the NUI website. And those are just forms you fill in, and if the exemption is granted, you present that to the CAO. However, you still have to present a minimum of 6 subjects. Our points of entry last September in 2020 were 318 points. Now, one has to put that in the context of the number of places that are on this degree programme. So when you see points published in a prospectus or on a website, it's telling you the points of the last person into a degree programme. So bearing in mind there are 1,600 places, the points there are reflective of the last few people into that degree. We have students right across all the points range on this programme. In terms of entry to the PLs from the PLC colleges, the Colleges of Further Education on the QQI, or what used to be known as the FETAC qualification, anybody who presents a level 5 qualification, it's a link program we have. You have an abundance of links available for you to pursue on our website under the arts section in how to apply. You will find there, if you have if you have undertaken one of those link programs in a PLC college, if you've been awarded a full award, you need to present a minimum of 5 distinctions to matriculate, to be seen. And then in some areas, there may be additional requirements, but for arts, it's the full award, a minimum of 5 distinctions. And then after that, you go into competition. So the more distinctions you can accrue, obviously, the advantage is for you. Then we have mature student applicants through the CAO, and all students come into us through the CAO, regardless whether you're from the mature category or whether you're doing QQI or if you're coming through Leaving Cert. And the application dates for arts for the mature student applicants is through the CAO by May 1st at 5:15 p.m. So if anybody's interested in still making an application, the arts degree is still open for application. Looking at the arts degree itself then, in terms of what it offers you, there's a whole range of choices you can actually make. The degree itself is very much about flexibility and choice. Those are the key words about the arts degree. You don't have to choose your subjects on the CAO listing. You don't do that until you actually come in and register in September. There are 34 subjects to choose from, and they range across 6 groups, which is replicated on page 45 of the undergraduate prospectus, and you'll also find it on the website. Now, if you look at it this way, every year is 60 credits, and you can divide up your credits over 4 areas, 3 areas, or 2 areas. And many students think there's a right way and a wrong way of doing this. It's actually about personal choice. When you get to 3rd level, including the arts degree, this is all about you making a choice, a personal decision on creating your own portfolio. And that's what makes Maynooth quite unique. On top of that, in the initial 4 weeks of study, whatever you've registered for, you can keep busy attending lectures on. But in that 4-week period of time, you can also go to other lectures. And there is that selection process in that initial 4 weeks where you can choose the subjects. Maybe you'd actually decide you want to change your subjects within that first 4 weeks by attending lectures. This year, our teaching was all virtual and online, and that facility was was made available to students. They were able to go in and attend as a guest on the online platform, so be aware of that. There are areas such as beginners languages that are 30 credit options if you're starting from the beginning, and those departments really would like you to begin from the beginning if you are considering a language. So do seek advice on that, and there is plenty of advice to be had in that initial period and right through your degree. So again, you create your own portfolio. You have that 4 weeks to decide what your options are. And after year 1 then, depending on what you choose, you can get to choose again in some instances, either staying within arts, or it could be that you're leaving to join another degree after completing your first year. You also have the opportunity to travel abroad. The international office works very hard there with our students in terms of the decisions they're making, whether it's in Europe through the Erasmus programme or whether it's further afield. And our departments will all have their international coordinators who will work out that option for you. So the arts degree is normally 3 years in duration, but if you are taking a study abroad option, that will extend it by a year. So it means you spend 2 years of study in Maynooth, you take a year out, and in abroad, you study your subjects abroad, and you come back then in year 4 to complete your studies. As part of the arts offering in first year, you can choose a subject in there called critical skills. It's not exam based. It's about bringing you into the world of academic research and essay writing and presentation skills. In second year, electives will be offered to you depending on your timetable. Now, an elective is a 10 credit option, a module, in a subject area you just might have an interest in. It doesn't lead to a degree in that subject area. It's just for you if you had something that you'd like to add in for a bit of variety or you have an interest in it. It will entail you having to drop 10 credits in one of your subjects that you're taking in second year. And we always encourage people to seek advice on that to see if there's any detrimental effect to you dropping 10 credits in those subjects if you're pursuing a pathway eventually for teaching or whatever. Then in third year in our area, we have experiential learning, which connects classroom theory and workplace that you will explore as an ongoing student. So there's lots of choice, there's lots of support, and there's lots of opportunities in the university and the arts degree to expand kind of your knowledge base, but also the options that are available for you. I'm looking here at 6 groups of subjects, and really what you're looking at here is the Maynooth University timetable. And again, this is replicated on page 45 of the prospectus, and you'll also see it on the website where they're listed out in various groups. Now, why they're listed out in various groups is to give you an indication of what is taught together. So you're looking there in group 1, where you have geography, German, law, the beginnings of maths pure, which ranges across groups 1 and 3, and philosophy. And critical skills, you will see, fits with all groups. So if I were to choose the subject geography, it would mean I couldn't choose that with German, law, philosophy, or maths pure, because they will always clash in the timetable. So it's about a student choosing, depending on the amount of subjects they want to take. You choose only one subject per group, and you can take a maximum of 4 or a minimum of 2. And it's totally down to personal choice. So you're looking at a broad range of subjects here. And as I said, I won't be able to go into every subject in detail, but anybody who's interested in literature, culture, society, and the arts, then you have a whole range of subjects here that will allow you to explore those viewpoints, whether it's through English, Greek and Roman civilization, if you want to look at anthropology, which looks at society, culture, and the individual, sociology, which is very similar, or a specialization within that, such as politics there in group 6. And you also have within geography, you not only have scientific geography, but you have also social and cultural geography. So you have a whole range of options in that area. For those of you who might be interested in perhaps mathematics and technical subjects, we have the Maths Pure, which does require a higher level maths to take it. A more approachable subject within maths might be maths physics or mathematical studies, which require a pass level grade in Leaving Cert if you wish to approach them. Then you also have computer programming, if people want to explore that within that first 4 week to see its suitability. And if you take it with math studies in first year, there are opportunities for students to pursue that after year 1 out into software engineering. You also have music technology, and that's sitting there in group 4. So music has always been traditionally available within the arts degree. It's available in its own separate entry as well. But this year, new to the university is the fact that you can take it as a double subject in first year or as a 15 credit option still. So it has always sat there in group 5, but this year we're offering as a 30 credit option across group 5 and group 2, should you wish to do that. We also then have within the music department the option to take music technology, and that works across computing and music. So you're looking at IT platforms, you're looking at sound recording and sound engineering. For those of you who've been interested in European languages, then you're well served here. We have Spanish, we have French, and you also have German. And you can approach these at beginner's level. So you need to take a double subject in that. You need to take a 30 credit option in that if you wish to take it at beginner's level. Or if you have a H4 grade or equivalent, you can choose the 15 credit option if you wish to do that. Nua Gaeilge is also available in the arts degree. It's sitting there in group 4. They do not have the beginners program, so there is a requirement to meet a H4 grade in Irish at Leaving Certificate level or equivalent. Chinese studies is also available there in group 6. And if you're interested in Latin and Greek, then those subjects are also available to you within the degree. So looking at the subjects there, we also have the options to study law, which people find very surprising considering we have separate entry into the law degrees. But students who come into arts can actually choose law as well. And you're taking the same subjects as our law undergraduate students are that come in under the HIM H5 codes. And students who come into an arts degree can choose a 30 credit option in law with other subjects of their choice. And following successful completion of year 1, passing all of your subjects, you can then decide to enter year 2 of the law degree. So you could transfer into second year of the LLB, the MH501, or second year of the BCL, taking one of your subjects with it. And you'd exit as from Maynooth as a graduate of law rather than as a graduate of arts. Also in here, we have offerings in business, and we have separate entries in the business degrees, if any of you are familiar with the structure of our degree programs under the MH404 code. We also offer you business and arts, so it means you can come in and take a 15 credit option in business, either international management or marketing. It's also available as a 30 credit option, and it sits there in groups 2 and it sits there in group 6. So if you take 30 credits in business with other subjects of your choice and continue on in arts, or you can transfer after year 1, so you can stay in arts after year 1 with another subject of your choice, or you can then transfer into year 2 of the business stream. So it means after year 1 you can either stay in arts taking your business and another subject, or after year 1 you could decide to join year 2 of the business degree and exit as a business graduate if you wish to do that. We have also options here in finance or economics that could lead to transfer options into those areas. And we also have accounting there in group 6, which is the Leaving Certificate syllabus that's taught at Leaving Certificate levels, the higher Leaving Certificate syllabus taught in first year. So we have a cohort of students each year who take that for the first time. Other students have taken it at pass level in secondary school, or people are revisiting it, having done it in the past, or people who have completed the honours level would revisit it again. And again, if you supplement extra modules in the second semester, the department will discuss that with you. There are pathways into the accountancy degrees. Media studies also has a degree in its own right, but we also offer media and cultural studies in the arts degree. If you're interested in exploring the whole world of communications in our modern world, that's available for you. Psychological studies, you may have noticed, is also available there in group 6. Now, the psychology department has 2 separate entries into the psychology degrees that are accredited, the BA Psychology and the BSc. However, if you wish to pursue psychological studies in arts with another subject of your choice, with psychological studies and other subjects in first year, and then in second and third year psychological studies in another, there are pathways to achieving an accredited qualification by applying for a 1-year conversion master's. So looking then here at a whole range of subject areas where you can mix and match, look at opportunities after year 1 depending on your subjects, or staying within arts to go on and specialise in the areas of your choice. So then following successful completion of first year, Students who are staying within the arts program can say for a double major, and that merely means you're taking 2 subjects to degree level. So every year is 60 credits, as I mentioned. So if you're taking a double major, you're taking 2 at 30 credits equally weighted. There are single major offerings available, and they tend to be in the areas such as English, anthropology, geography, history, those type of areas. If you wish to specialise in those areas after year 1, you can take just those subjects in years 2 and 3. Or you can do a major minor, which means, as I said, every year is 60 credits. So you're doing 40 credits in one and 20 in another if you wish to balance it out that way. So as you see, there's an extensive choice here. For those students who are thinking in terms of teaching eventually, then we have the postgraduate options available on the Maynooth campus. So ideally for the teaching area at second level, it's always advised to take 2 teaching subjects to degree level. And then you can apply for your PME, which is a 2-year master's conversion program, which you apply through the postgraduate application system. We also have the conversion masters for primary school teaching. Many graduates who haven't had an opportunity perhaps to enter primary school teaching for one reason or another, there are only 4 centres in Ireland, so the points tend to be quite high because the competition is quite high. So people who have completed a level 8 honours degree, such as arts or another, can apply for the conversion masters in primary school teaching, and that is available through the FREBA department at Maynooth campus and in other areas as well. However, you do still have to meet the requirement grades in Irish, English and maths that's associated with that qualification, so that's something to be aware of. Then if after year 1, once you've completed your subject areas and you have passed all your exams, in some areas you may need higher grades than a pass grade, such as accounting. If you're transferring into the accountancy programs, there are required modules that you need in the second semester, and you're also required to achieve a grade of 60% or above. But for many other areas, such as law or business, etc., a pass grade will suffice. So after year 1, depending on the subject combinations you've taken in first year, you could transfer with accounting, you can transfer into business, finance or law. You could transfer into the business areas that I've mentioned before, such as management, marketing or international business. Just computer science and software engineering have pathways out to those. And why students would transfer out of arts into those areas would be the work placements that are available there in year 3 through the software engineering program, whereas staying within computing and arts doesn't offer a work placements within it. There's opportunities to transfer into finance, international finance and economics, or to transfer, as I mentioned earlier on, either into year 2 of the LLB, which is the laws, the Bachelor of Laws, or year 2 of the BCL, the Bachelor of Civil Law, taking law, and one of the subjects you chose in first year to degree level. So it means once you enter year 2, once you transfer into these other programs, then it means that your degree title is not arts, it's actually the degree program you're registering into. Specializations are also available after first year for people who, as I mentioned earlier on, they might like to pursue classics, which is Greek and Roman civilization with Latin or Greek. You also have specializations in economics and a single honours program there in English, history or geography. And do not be put off by people who may not have taken geography or history in a secondary school. Some people are inclined to think that it's not approachable then in university at degree level. It actually is. It's open to anybody who have an interest in those subject areas. Then you have areas in mathematics, politics as well can be taken with another subject for your choice. So as you can see, there are many areas to look at and many things to consider when you're choosing an arts degree. Things that are good to know perhaps when you're undertaking an arts program would be the whole idea of transitioning on to third level. So when students are in secondary school, particularly if you're a school leaver, you need to realise that once you have finished your Leaving Cert, you're deemed to be at level 5 on the National Framework of Qualification. And that is very much seen as a gateway qualification. So when you're moving on into looking for qualifications, moving into an area such as an arts degree, then you're going from level 5 to level 8. So the teaching methodology that we use has to be very, very different from what you've experienced at level 5. So level 5 tends to involve a lot of engagement from your teaching staff, whereby teachers are monitoring your attendance, you have your class timetables, you have class homework allocation. So there's quite a lot of support and monitoring going on. And that is very much the picture at level 5 study. However, when you're entering a level 8 honours degree, then this is very much seen as a preparation for professional qualification. Because when you're coming in at level 8, the teaching methodology itself is going to be quite different than the fact that the student is expected to take a lot of responsibility. So the reality is, in terms of the structure, for every hour you would attend a lecture. Now, an hour isn't an hour's lecture is about 50 minutes in duration. So for every hour you would attend a lecture, there's an expectation the student has the interest and engagement to follow up with 3 hours study. That won't necessarily be monitored or corrected or allocated. Now, you will have an abundance of reading material. You'll also have and been given advice on what books you need to avail of, the reading material you need to avail of, your library sources. You can use excellent publications and journals on the library itself, and they will provide information for you on how to access those as part of your orientation. And certainly during first year, you can sign up for those through the library. But essentially, you're learning the world of personal responsibility. Deadlines in a second level educational system are very flexible. You're not going to find that in third level. In third level, the deadlines are very much expected to be adhered to, unless you have a doctor's note or a very, very, valid reason why you need an extension. So the rule of thumb is you meet your deadlines or they reduce your marks per day you're late. And that is very much what employers expect of you. So when people are looking at a qualification or third level, one is inclined to always look to the subjects as the base for employment, which of course is quite natural to assume because many people will presume or will pursue suppose specializations or career path that reflected the subjects they chose. However, many of us working in the world of work are there because we're graduates. So, as a graduate, the skill sets an employer will expect of any graduate is the fact that they're able to work assiduously on their own because they have learned personal responsibility. They're able to meet deadlines. And remember, your year at third level is about 26 to 28 weeks, which is the norm in an academic year. So, you commence a block of study in September. The end of September is how our timetable works, and you'd work up until Christmas. Then in January, you have your exams where no teaching takes place, and then you're back for a reading week in early February. And from February, then until the end of April, you're back into study mode again and lecturing mode again to complete the second semester. And your exams are timetabled for May, and you're at the very latest, you'll finish up in early June. So you're looking at a very short year. So in the space of time, the skill sets of any graduate is learning how to research, source information, being accurate on your sources and being able to verify them, write a good academic essay or piece of work if required, present, do a presentation, work on your own initiative or collaborate if that's required either. So when I'm speaking to employers, which I do at every opportunity I can avail of, what people will say to me as an employer, what they see in a graduate are people they can train. So any company out there will train you in what they want you to do and what that company needs from you, but you have to have the standard of education to allow them to do that. So those are the disciplines that you would actually avail of in any qualification at level 8 honours, including an arts qualification. And of course, then within the subject areas themselves, you have many opportunities for career paths that can be supported and helped by our academic staff and giving you ideas. And there's obviously always room for discussion on that. And we also have the career office there that you can work with the career service. In terms of your ability to access lectures, they are available to you. And all of our lectures were online this year on a virtual platform, but our academics are still available. And when teaching is on campus, all of them will provide students with office hours where you can drop in and have a chat, where if you have any questions about an area of work that you're covering and you're not quite sure of, or you want a further explanation, they're quite happy to provide that. And of course, you can email those as well. So there is plenty of support for our students. There's lots of support for people who wish to avail of it. But coming into third level is about training you in the world of independent study, independent research, and understanding what that world, how it actually operates and how it actually means. The level of difficulty, there's two things students often ask me about. What is the ideal combination? And the reality is there's no ideal combination, apart from perhaps for people who want to get into secondary school teaching. It's possibly always best to have your teaching subjects, and two is ideal. Like one off, you can take the PME with one teaching subject, but ideally speaking, when you're out in the world of work seeking job opportunities in teaching, then the reality is if you have two teaching subjects to offer to a board of management, then you might be in a stronger position to do that. And there are subjects within arts that aren't covered on a secondary school curriculum. But apart from that, it's a case of, where your passions lie, where your interests are, and it's about building your own unique portfolio. Because a level 8 honours degree, not only as a qualification in its own right for the jobs market, but forevermore you have created a springboard on which you can specialise. So there are many, many opportunities to go out and do conversion masters, whereby within a year or 2 years of further study as a graduate, you can change direction or specialise in a completely different area altogether. Level of difficulty tends to come into people who choose a degree just because they have the points for it, with arts choosing subjects perhaps that they thought they were interested in and perhaps have little interest in now. It isn't unusual at all for students who find a difficulty making an assumption on a subject and not having the research done. So for anybody who's approaching this, especially from the school environment, research is absolutely key. One area employers always speak about to us is the quality of university experience. So, university is there working on two pillars. You not only have your academic qualifications, which of course are very important, and in terms of qualification, the ideal grade to aspire to in your final year would be a 60 to 70% grade. Now, the grading scheme in university is very different from secondary school. 60 to 70% is we call a second class honour grade 1, 70% is a first class honour. So if you in your mindset kind of think of 70% as 100, 60 to 70 is actually a higher grade than you would actually think right now if you're in a school situation. And to achieve those grades during your degree, it requires energy, drive, commitment, attending lectures, following up with your research, and everything I've just actually discussed. But with a 2-1 qualification, employers read that as indicative to them of people who have kind of what it takes to actually take on responsibility and work well in their own initiative. And moving on to further study, certainly that qualification would be required. But in terms of the quality of university experience, it's not just academic alone. So people just don't come in and lock themselves in libraries. In a situation where we aren't in a pandemic, the university is a very busy, active resource. And you have clubs and societies, there are over 100 of them. Every subject has a society. There's many clubs to enjoy and engage with. It's not only a terrific way of making friends and building up a whole other kind of life experience for yourself. There's opportunities to get involved in activities you may not be able to get involved in your own local area. But employers will want to hear about it. They'll want to hear what you've been doing for 3 or 4 years in a university. Were you involved in anything? Did you organise an event? Did you do some fundraising? And they want to hear about your university experience. So don't see it as just an optional extra. There's a lot of value to be gained by immersing yourself. So every college you go to is like a microcosm of the real world. So do avail of all aspects of life at college, and hopefully going forward into the future we'll be going back into much more normal times. I know many of you are probably sitting there wondering, what are you doing about teaching in September? To be quite honest with you, I don't have that information. It's going to be totally dependent on what the Department of Health advice is, what NEFIT has decided, and what has happened in terms of the vaccine rollout. The difficulty we have is the numbers we're dealing on a campus are so much larger than even in a school. Our first year intake is over 3,500 students, with the result that with that amount of students on campus, not only do you need security staff, catering staff, cleaning staff, administrative staff, and lecturing staff. So the cohorts we're dealing with and the numbers on these campuses are much, much larger than sometimes people imagine them to be. And we have to be guided by that. So that, unfortunately, is still up for a decision, and we can't actually tell you about that. So employment is very much dependent on what area of work you wish to avail of. But as a graduate, you certainly have a much more opportunity to go out there and seek employment in many areas, not just in the subjects you chose. Like the subjects I chose on into my degree and master's level bear little relevance to actually what I do in my area of work on a day-to-day basis. But I certainly wouldn't be in this area of work unless I was a graduate of the university. So I hope all of that has made sense to you. I know you've been very, very busy submitting to my colleagues. I know they have been very, very busy here. I can see the questions rolling in here. So we have lots of questions going on. I'm going to stop sharing my presentation here, and I'm going to invite our student Megan. Megan, if you don't mind coming on mic now and maybe having a chat with us about what arts is like and how are you finding it and what subjects you're taking.
So I'm in my third and unfortunately final year here at Maynooth. I'm studying mathematical studies and Latin through the arts program. Just a bit of shameless plugging before we start. I'm student ambassador. Student ambassadors are taking over the Instagram and Snapchats today. Snapchat is Maynooth Uni, Instagram is also, no, Snapchat is Maynooth CIO, Instagram is Maynooth Uni. We're doing Q&As and questions all day. There's also a Q&A facility on the website. So if you have any questions for specific student ambassadors about certain subject combinations, you can find us there. And that's
Brilliant.
the advertising's done now. So what really attracted me to the arts program was flexibility. Because when I was 17 or 18, I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I'm 21, still don't know, but it was really comforting to me to be able to put that decision off for a while. And even being able to try out subjects before you commit to them, because I had this massive fear of, going to university and committing to something and realizing, oh, I don't like this at all, and I've just wasted a year of my life. But I mean, if you don't have that worry, because you come here, you have these 4 weeks, which are an absolute blessing, let me tell you. And you can try this whole range of subjects and figure out what really suits you. I came in studying pure mathematics, computer science, and critical skills. And computer science and critical skills, some people love them. I'm not saying they're bad subjects. They suit some people absolutely perfectly, but they didn't suit me. And I was able to go and try Latin and Greek and Roman civilization. And I fell in love. I've studied Latin in secondary school level, which isn't necessary for the degree, but I already had some experience with it, and I absolutely adored it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to study half classics, half mathematics, and here I am doing mathematical studies in Latin now. And that's really, like, you don't get that opportunity anywhere else. You don't get to change your mind and try different things and have a go before you commit, and that's really important, especially when you're so young and you're really uncertain about your future. So flexibility basically is the key point of the arts degree. And I've gone through it. I'm in my third year, and I couldn't be happy. Like, I genuinely think it is the perfect degree. You don't get to do it anywhere else. In terms of teaching style at the moment, I know lots of people are concerned about online learning. I've actually found online learning really beneficial. It's been sort of a thing since about halfway through my second semester, second year. So I've done just shy of half my degree online, and I really do prefer it. I know some people struggle with it. I know it has its issues, but compared to in-person teaching, it is a lot more flexible, and you get, lectures are pre-recorded, put online for you in some cases. So I'm working part-time. That means I can still go to work and come home and do my lectures, which is really useful. Um, Honestly, like, Maynooth has done really well to sort of make sure students are still getting a good quality experience. Lecturers still have um, like office hours where you can go and talk to them. You call them up on Microsoft Teams and you have a chat with them about any issue. Like Kay was saying, you can go to your lecturers if you have any difficulties, and just it's been difficult. It has been difficult, but the transition has gone very well. And I think that some people are really worried about, oh, I won't have the same experience and things like this. And that's a very fair concern. But I've gotten more involved this year in clubs and societies than I did any year previously. I feel like having things online as well makes it a lot more accessible if you're a commuter or if you're working or if you have like family situations, financial situations. Having things online makes everything more accessible for everyone, and I'm a big fan of it, I do have to say.
That's great. Thank you very much, Megan.
No worries.
So I